Hello, hello. So this is today's project. It is a 4x4" hoop cup coaster, and it fits a standard size kind of cup or mug. I guess it could be a mug rug. And it is fully finished on all the sides. So you can see it has a part in the back that it opens and closes. That's where you flip it from. So it is fully finished around all the edges, and it does have a little bit of applique. So this is applique, and then you have the two hearts that are applique, and the design comes with the two different stipple stitches. You have the heart and you have the diagonal hatch style. So this is what we're going to do, and let's get started. So to get started, these are the things that we are going to need today for this coaster. You will need, if you're going to be doing the applique portion, you will need 2 pieces of applique. I have felt. You will need a piece of batting. This is just a very light kind of bamboo batting. I typically use fusible fleece, but this is what I have right now. You need a front for the coaster. Then you need the applique material for the inside of the coaster part, and then you need 2 pieces which are longer here, folded in half. So you've got the long, folded in half this way. You have a finished edge, and then the other side is an open edge, and you need 2 pieces like that. So you see, here's the finished edge, because those 2 pieces with the finished edges will be put together and overlapping, and then that's where you'll be opening the coaster from. So the first thing that we have to do to get started is the placement stitch. So the tack down has been done, and the next thing that we have to do is we have to add the batting over the tack down. We need to run the batting tack down, and then we'll cut it out. Alright, so I have done the tack down, and now we need to cut that out. Okay, for the batting, you can cut close because you don't want the extra batting in the seam allowance. That's why it is done like that. And the next thing that we have to do is we need to add the front piece to the coaster, and we'll take that back to the machine and tack that down. There we have the tack down, and the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to run the placement stitch for the applique portion. Alright, so the applique placement is done, and now we need to put the applique material over top of that. So this is the one I'm going to be using. I'm just going to lay that over top and do the tack down, or what is known as the cut line stitch. Alright, I have got that tack down stitch done, or the cut line stitch, and now we need to go around and we need to cut it out. You don't want to cut too close, because if you do, the material will pull out. So you need to leave about 1/16 of an inch of a border. Alright, so that is done, and you can see there is some overhang there, and you want to do that with your appliques to make sure that the center material doesn't pull out. And if you're just doing like a raw edge applique, you also want to leave just a little bit more than that, because it's not as strong as the satin edge, which gets the tack down. So the next thing we have to do is we have to go run the tack down to hold this in place. Alright, just to show you the tack down stitch, I took it out, but I don't usually take it out. So the next stitch that we have to do will be the stipple kind of border or stipple kind of design that's on the inside. I am doing the hatch style version this time. Let me just show you that. We have the hatch style stipple. And the next thing that we have to do is we need to run the placement stitch for the applique. The heart placement stitch is done. So you need to take the next applique piece, and I'm using felt. This part is a raw edge applique. So you're not going to have a satin border. The center part has the border, but not this one. So you need to make sure to use a material that's not fraying. So I have done the finishing stitches for that little heart applique, and I'm just going to go ahead and cut around that one now before I do the next one. There we go, and now I'm going to take it back to the machine and I'm going to run the next placement stitch for the second heart. And there's the second placement. And I'm going to put the other material over. Now I am back to cut out those. And there we go, we have the second heart cut out. And the next thing that I need to do is I need to go back and I need to run the satin stitch around the center applique. Alright, so there's the satin stitching around the edge, and for the coaster patterns I often put a detail edge around the center, so you can run a bean stitch on the inside of the satin and on the outside of the satin, and it is for detailing. Alright, so I think you can see that on there. It's just a detail stitching I like to do, and the next stitch is also a detail stitch. It just goes around the coaster like that, and that one you can skip if you don't like because it is not a necessary. Alright, so now we have all of the center portion done. And now, after doing everything, it is time to do the last color stop. The last color stop is the part where we are going to add the backing. So you need those two longer pieces. They need to be folded in half with the ironed edge, and we're working on the front of the hoop. So here's the back. We don't want that. We want to work on the front of the hoop. So what you need to do for this, to finish it off, you need to take the back piece and you need to put the folded edge up in here, and I put it kind of roughly around the center part, and then you need to take the other one again with the folded edge on the inside, and you need to overlap it about 1/2 of an inch. So this line I have drawn here is about 1/2 of an inch. So this one with the folded edge and the folded edge, they go over each other and they overlap. There we go. And then the best thing to do is to tape them, especially down where the lapped joint is, so that doesn't get caught on the machine. And then we are going to go back and we are going to run the finishing stitches. Now you need to make sure that the part that is facing down is the part you want to see on the outside of the coaster, because what we're looking at now is going to be on the inside. And the coaster is done. So we have to take it out of the hoop, and I like the Scotch tape because it's usually, I find it to be the easiest to remove when you're doing a lapped joint stitch. Alright, so there we have the coaster. This is the back. And if you wanted to add a piece of stabilizer to the back, you could iron on a piece of stabilizer if you didn't want to see any of the stitches. However, there aren't too many straggly stitches, so I am not going to do that. And the next thing that we need to do, as you can see, there's the coaster, we need to cut out a round. And for that, I like to use pinking shears, but you can use whatever you want. You will just need to make sure, since it is round, that you do clip the edges if you don't use pinking shears. Okay, so now that that is cut out, I'm going to turn on my iron here. And we're going to flip it to the right side. So all you have to do that, there you go, let's have a look. All you have to do is you need to grab through the center, because these are finished edges, and then you just poke, gently poke through your coaster. Alright, so this is what we get. There we go. And one more thing that we have to do is to press it. That will make it nice and flat. And the coaster is done. Now there is one other thing that you can do. Because the back is open, I mean, if you want to, you can see that it's open, but nobody's ever going to look in it, probably. However, on mine, I do like to close the back, and you can use glue, or you can hand stitch if you really felt like it. I find that too time consuming. So, for what I do for these is just a little piece of stitch witchery, or iron-on hemming, or whatever it is that you like to use, and just go ahead and stuff that on in there. And iron into place. And voila! And there we have it. So I hope you guys like this project. It's a 4x4 friendly project, and I would like you to subscribe and go ahead and give it a thumbs up if you liked it. All right, thanks. Have a wonderful day.